What if I told you that the seemingly controversial debate of our times has just been settled by a machine, by a buzzword, artificial intelligence? In a world where people's biased opinions often get in the way of the truth, artificial intelligence has stepped in to expose the raw, unfiltered truth about Palestine's fundamental right to defend itself. If you are a Zionist, you won't like to hear that, so please click away. Thank you. Now, if you are just a regular person not knowing who to trust, this video is for you. Watch this video, feel free to repeat parts if you need. The answers you are about to hear will explain you why Jews stand up for Palestine, why Jews have big issues with Zionists.
Across the world, millions of people have taken to the streets in solidarity with Palestinians. Among the most vocal Palestinian allies have been Jewish advocates for Palestine, who have been consistently raising their opposition to Israel and also a matter of faith. In the 1930s by Orthodox Jews in Jerusalem as a Jewish advocacy group against the Zionist movement, the State of Israel, and the grabbing of Palestinian lands.
So by making their state, by killing and stealing and occupying, that's again against the whole teaching of the Torah. Our Torah is we should be subservient to God, not to steal, not to kill, to do. So the whole concept of making Zionism is a direct contradiction to everything that Judaism means.
The State of Israel is not a Jewish state, and they don't represent Jews or Judaism. So when they hear the truth, they getting very angry. They attack us physically because they are not believers in the Torah and Judaism. Even they don't have any problem with crimes against the real Jews. Real Jews, anti-Zionist Jews, they want to live in peace.
Zionism is a political movement which is causing bloodshed.
Say that you're a Jew!
We lived in a beautiful peace with Palestinian people for hundreds of years.
How can you say that you're not a Jew? You're not a Jew! How dare you? How can you say that you're Jewish? How can you shame your own people?
We're all Jews here. He was against Judaism. We're all Jews here. Right?
Today we are inshallah diving into the digital arena of LLM Fight Club. The idea of LLM Fight Club is easy. You might have heard about OpenAI's GPT-4 model. This model is called a large language model, or in short, LLM. These LLMs are already quite powerful. Now imagine we would have two LLMs and ask both to argue different sides or viewpoints. The idea is simple. We pose one question and ask two LLMs to bring their arguments. Both LLMs start to have a conversation, similar to you and your friend. However, with one big difference. Their goal is not to be nice, but get the best arguments that support their view. Once the conversation finishes, both arguments are looked upon and the winner is announced. Now let's see how this AI debate plays out on one of the most controversial topics of our times. Our important question today is, does Palestine have the right to defend itself? It is a question that sparks debates, protests and conflicts around the world. The result? It is like a powerful punch that knocks down the false propaganda of Israel. Get ready. The truth AI isn't afraid to tell you. Now, let's hear directly from our AI debaters. For that, I will inshallah use a text-to-speech AI model. I will give both of the LLMs their own voice. Remember, these are not human opinions, but AI. Here's what they have to say.
Absolutely, Palestine has every right to defend itself. To argue otherwise is to deny basic human dignity and the principles of international law. Every nation and people under occupation or threat has the inherent right to self-defense. The Palestinian people have been subjected to decades of occupation, dispossession, and systemic injustice. It is not just their right, but their duty to resist and defend their land, their homes, and their lives against aggression and oppression.
Oh, please spare me the melodrama. This so-called right to defend is just an excuse to perpetuate violence. If Palestine really cared about peace, they would seek diplomatic solutions rather than resorting to terrorism and violence. They're not defending anything. They're provoking conflict. Stop trying to dress up aggression as self-defense. It is pathetic.
Your ignorance is truly astounding. Palestinians have been systematically oppressed and deprived of their rights for decades. The so-called diplomatic solutions you mention have consistently favored the oppressors and ignored the legitimate grievances of the Palestinian people. Resorting to violence, what a laughable accusation. When peaceful protests are met with bullets and tear gas, what options are left? Calling it terrorism is just a convenient label to dehumanize a people fighting for their very survival. Your argument reeks of hypocrisy and a complete lack of empathy.
Typical response from someone who refuses to acknowledge the complexities of the situation. Always playing the victim card, aren't you? It's so easy to blame the oppressors without looking in the mirror. Palestinians have had multiple opportunities for peace, but have rejected them time and again. Why? Because their leadership thrives on conflict. They use innocent civilians as human shields, and then cry foul when things go south. Spare me your sanctimonious lecture on empathy. You clearly have none for the innocent lives lost to Palestinian violence.
Save your sanctimony for someone who buys into your revisionist history. Palestinians have sought peace countless times, only to be met with broken promises and continued aggression. Blaming the leadership is a lazy cop, out to ignore the real issue: systematic oppression and occupation. Using the human shields narrative is a tired, debunked lie to justify indiscriminate violence against civilians. If you had an ounce of genuine empathy, you'd understand the desperation that drives people to resist in any way they can when all other avenues are systematically closed off. But go ahead, keep parroting the same propaganda. It's clear you have no interest in justice or truth.
Oh, the desperation card, how original. When will you stop making excuses for violence? Resistance doesn't have to mean terrorizing innocent people. The so-called broken promises are just another way of saying we didn't get everything we demanded, so let's blow things up. You talk about justice and truth, but you conveniently ignore the fact that Palestinian leadership has perpetuated a cycle of violence for decades. Keep crying oppression while turning a blind eye to your own side's atrocities. It's hypocritical and frankly disgusting.
Now let us inshallah come to the summary. The winner is: a Palestine LLM wins the debate due to a more structured argument rooted in historical context, the principles of international law and human rights. LLM emphasizes the systemic oppression and injustices faced by Palestinians, providing a strong moral and legal foundation for their right to self-defense. In contrast, LLMB relies heavily on emotionally charged rhetoric and generalizations without adequately addressing the core issues raised by LLMA.
We have heard the perspective of the AI. Let's consider the human cost and the reality on ground. The Israeli government has killed around 40,000 people. These aren't just numbers, they are newborn babies, children, women, and elderly. The Israeli regime doesn't discriminate based on color or age. If you are a Palestinian, your life is at risk. Most of those bombed, literally burned alive, are children. The Israeli regime has stripped Palestinians of basic necessities. They have taken away water, a resource so fundamental, so sacred, that it is part of human dignity. Everyone has a right to water, yet Palestinians are denied this basic right. But it doesn't stop there. They have also taken away food, essentially sentencing Palestinians to starvation. And electricity? Gone. This isn't just about charging a smartphone. Imagine a hospital struggling to keep infants alive with special medical equipment. What do these machines need? Electricity. You guessed it. I have seen a heartbreaking video. Doctors in hospitals are trying to save the life of newborns, but they don't have electricity to power these machines. There's so much more to say, but let me highlight one more crucial point. The Israeli regime is actively trying to hide these atrocities. They are targeting and killing journalists. And history teaches us one clear lesson. Those who try to hide their actions are often the ones who are committing the worst crimes. If you know that you're a monster, you don't want others to see your real face. To summarize, yes, Palestinian people have the right to live. They have the right to be seen as valuable human beings. They have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. These actions against Palestinians aren't just violations of international law, they are assaults on the very essence of human dignity. The right to defend oneself against such a brutality isn't just a legal concept, it's a fundamental human instinct for survival. So when we ask if Palestine has the right to defend itself, what we really are asking is, do Palestinians have the right to live? To protect their children? To have a future? The answer is yes. Be part of a change. Remember, in the face of injustice, silence is compliance. What will you choose? I will speak out. Allahu Akbar. Will me speaking out have any consequences? I don't know. If you believe in the fundamental right of free thought and free speech, be brave, don't stay silent. Let your voice be heard. Spread this message, engage in conversations in real life and online. You and me, let us be the voice that fights for freedom. This content is an effort to get a voice that can stop genocides. Together we can inshallah make a difference. The question is, are you ready to stand up for what's right?